The Full Melt Show is intended for a mature audience. It contains adult themes, adult content, and sometimes adult language. Listener discretion is advised.
Full Melt.
Medical marijuana patients will soon have a new option right here in the city, and 7 News has a sneak peek inside. In some ways, it will be the first of its kind. I went inside this downtown dispensary before they open their doors later today. In Boston's busy downtown crossing, steps from historic landmarks, the city's first medical marijuana dispensary is getting ready to open. You could pass right by it and not even know it's there. I don't see any signage or anything. Is that by design?
Yeah, that was one of the requirements of the approval from the city, was that there be no signage outside.
Patriot Care CEO Bob Mayerson takes us inside. It has the feel of a doctor's office.
We are a healthcare company and see ourselves as a medical company, so we want it to be. We don't want to feel like a head shop. So all of the marijuana will be kept behind the counter in cabinets and drawers. And patients can see it and smell it before they buy it. We will have 8 strains of flower, smokable product, and we'll have several infused products.
In Boston, an added responsibility. The city is requiring Patriot Care to deliver marijuana to any patient who says they can't get downtown. It will be the first time any dispensary does a house call. Will you have 1 person in that, 2 people in that?
I'd rather not get into all the details, but the state requires us to have 2 people in the vehicle.
We asked the city's police commissioner about safety.
If there's robberies or whatnot, we'll make sure we tighten up, their drives and everything else.
It's taken almost 2 years for Patriot Care to open this dispensary in Boston. They worked with concerned neighbors and met the demands of city councilors, and now they're ready for business.
We think that the neighborhood will continue to improve. The team was very deliberate in where they wanted to open the doors of our facility, and they couldn't be happier. We couldn't be happier to be here.
It's the Full Melt Show.
Are you high? What are you talking about?
This is the Full Melt.
Give me a break.
The Full Melt Show. A marijuana discussion about news, culture, politics, and lifestyle. TheFullMelt.com. Toll free. 844-420-TALK. 844-420-TALK.
Elections. Good evening and welcome to the Full Melt Show. I'm Steve Green. With me in the studio is
the Mad Blaster by Night.
All right, there you go. You got it straight from the horse's mouth. Boom. This business about elections is going to be a buzzword this year. I don't think you'll forget, because it will have an impact in the marijuana community like no other. Like nothing else that we've done in history. There's no other single event, single day, where more will be done for the progress of drug reform as it relates to marijuana in this country from a policy standpoint than on Election Day in November of this year. And so the piece that you heard on the front there from Boston about this dispensary opening, like I said, here in Michigan and like way in California, it's a really old hat. Like this is 20-year-old news. Like they're like, oh, dust that off, blow that story off. And I liked it better the first time in the 90s. You know what I mean? But to people around the country, this will always be a new story until the last place that, is like, oh, that'll never happen here in southern North Carolina, where we like the peaches and the southern women are fine as Georgia wine. And we don't need none of your irrespectable hippie mentality down here screwing up our fine southern culture.
None of that devil's lettuce around here.
With your marijuana. Your wacky tobacco. We don't need none of that. We're what do they call? Ogies from Muskogee is what we are. We don't like your marijuana types around here. You keep your hippie pot culture up in your suburbs where we'd rather keep you people from you Yankees.
We hate you marijuana types.
That's what it comes down to. I mean, that's what it is. But when that finally topples, and it will at some point, the marijuana wave will be old hat, old news there. And they'll actually, modify their position on this in some way. Because really, the only way they can prop up this prohibition from a state standpoint is the federal prohibition. If the federal prohibition falls, they don't have anything on a state or local level to fall back on or rely upon to say, hey, we need some help over here. Because if the feds are like, hey, it's up to you states, and the states are like, well, we don't want to hear. At some point, they're going to figure out that the fact that we don't want to hear, not in our backyard, that's the NIMBY law. Not in my backyard, damn it. Get out of my yard.
Dang flabbit marijuana smokers.
It's not going to apply because the feds already figured out they haven't got the money to enforce this. They've never been able to impact it. At some point, and see, the state was already leaning on the feds for funding and money and resources of other types to wage these drug wars. Otherwise, they couldn't have done it on their own. So now that the federal prohibition disappears, the states and the cities and the counties are a lot more like, oh, what do you want us to do? You really do have a lot bigger fish to fry. And if all the federal incentives gone away because it's no longer Schedule 1 and we can't do no-knock raids and we can't shoot your pets in front of your kids and we can't take your bank accounts and your kids' cell phones and tablets and, all the stuff that makes your world go round and your kids go to school and food get on the table, if we can't take all that away as just glorified tax money, then we really got some tickets to write or something.
Some speeding laws to enforce or something.
We might need to clean up the squad cars, I'm just saying. Do a little shining, making sure that people, do a little community neighborhood policing. Hey, Mr. Joe.
I can see it now, just sitting there scrubbing the car. Missed the day as a kicking indoors for pot. Scrub.
Those were the days.
Those were the days, guys.
Why, in my day, we knocked down doors and we shot up people and we liked it.
Back when I was your age.
So, it's going, and here's the thing. They love that shit. I mean, they revel in it. So, looking forward into today's show, and then if I have time, I want to tell you something funny because it's funny as hell. It was just really weird. Some insight, some anecdotal insight. I'll give you that if I got time before the break. No promises. On today's show, want to bring on Chad Morrow from Otsego County in northern Michigan. So if you're not familiar with northern Michigan, I'm talking about northern lower Michigan. This is Gaylord. It's like the last larger sized city before, for the north. Larger sized city for the north is just, population above 3,000-4,000.
It's great that we're in the studio and you're still pointing at your hand.
Yeah, you have to point at your hand because it's right there where, like your middle finger knuckle would be. That's where Gaylord's at. If you use your left hand like a mitten and your middle finger knuckle, the first knuckle from like right underneath where your nail is.
I like to think Michigan natives know where Gaylord is.
That's where Gaylord is. Well, we might not be talking. There are people listening in other countries. Like,
really?
where the hell is Gaylord in Michigan? Is it near Detroit somewhere? Is it by Grand Rapids? No, it's way up in the northern sticks of the lower peninsula, not the upper peninsula, not past the Mackinac Bridge. It's the last big city before the Mackinac Bridge. Right?
I haven't quite hit the Yoopers.
Now, I don't want to say that St. Ignace isn't a big city. Or, actually, that's on the northern side of the bridge. What's on the southern side? I forget. Anyways, Chad was in charge of a dispensary there in Gaylord where they had created rules just like they did there in Boston, right? They're glorifying their Boston television. Dispensary opens. They did the same kind of thing in Gaylord. At first, when they opened these dispensaries there was kind of the Wild West. Like nobody, they already kind of had the understanding, I think, of the will of the community, the support of the community. The police treated it accordingly, and at some point there was some, I think, investigation on the local police levels until there was some action taken at city council by push from citizens to create dispensary ordinances that allowed for dispensaries to live there in the city of Gaylord against state law under city licensing, which is what they've done everywhere else in Michigan where they're doing this. in many of the bigger cities. And so it was at this time that the state got frustrated with the fact that the city of Gaylord, the city police, and the county police there in the sheriff's department in Otsego County were kind of hands off about this whole pot thing. Like, again, we've got limited resources and a lot bigger fish to fry anyways. We really don't give a crap about this pot thing. If you guys are good with it, we're good with it. Let's go. This frustrated the attorney general. It frustrated the state police, who were still very much against this in every way, shape, or form, because the attorney general has called this all illegal, no matter what you say. But the local police are not cooperative because they're employed by the local community, who says we're doing this in our own legitimate way. So what does the AG and the state police do? They kind of go around the side by employing the drug task force, the multi-jurisdictional or multi-county drug task force in the area, to start doing these investigations and knocking down doors, taking names and numbers, and, again, raping home tax money under the name of public safety, despite the will of the people in a local area, despite the medical marijuana law in the state of Michigan, which 66% of the voters here in the state approved. So that being said, they start taking these people to court. They're doing the raids. They're taking the money. They're seizing assets. They're calling people criminals. They're hauling them off to court one by one, raiding their homes, the employees of these establishments, the providers, the caregivers, the patients, raiding people left and right. And along comes, we're running out of time. We are running out of time. So along comes Mr. Prosecutor, the county prosecutor there, Michael A. Rolla, who has been a foe of the medical marijuana community because, again, he operated and worked in concert with the state and the attorney general's office rather than in concert with the people who elected him there in Otsego County, the local people who are like, no, we're good with this. Leave us alone, for crying out loud. And as a result, I'm setting up because the next segment we're going to have this guy on, Chad Morrow, who's been hauled off to court about this. And we won't talk about his court case because it's still pending. We don't want to try his case there, but we will talk about the fact that Mr. Mike Rolla last night was fired by the people that elected him. They're pissed, and they're fighting back, and they're taking back their courts, and they're taking back their local government. And we'll talk to Chad Morrow coming up after the break. Mr. Mad Blaster, hang on, we'll be right back.
You're getting the full melt.
Imagine a world where patients can use marijuana like any other medicine. The Marijuana Patients Organization challenges the status quo by helping our neighbors to enjoy a better quality of life. Visit the MPO at marijuanapatients.org and enjoy informative articles, engaging debates, and information about treatments, doctors, and dispensaries in your area. Over 50,000 people have registered at marijuanapatients.org since 2010. Join us at the Marijuana Patients Organization today, marijuanapatients.org.
When you need legal help, you don't want to guess at who's standing next to you in court. And when it comes to a medical marijuana defense, it's even smarter to partner with a lawyer before you need one. Based in Royal Oak, David Rudoy has a proven history of not being afraid to take your case all the way to the Supreme Court and win. Find the law offices of Rudoy Law
at RudoyLaw.com.
RudoyLaw.com is a quick reference on your rights concerning Michigan medical marijuana
and up-to-date news.
That's RUDOI Law.com. Call 248-935-9074 now and talk about your legal needs, because at RudoyLaw.com, we don't just stand up for you, we stand up with you.
What's up with these things, Victor?
We decided to give ourselves stickers for each feature we release.
We read about 10,000 suggestions a week to create features that, as traders, we'd want to use.
10,000 suggestions? Who reads all of those?
He does.
For all the confidence you need, TD Ameritrade. You got this.
We need coffee.
Got it right here.
Cups.
12-ounce, 8-ounce recyclable.
Creamers, sweeteners, stirrers, filters.
Creamers, sweeteners, stirrers, filters, K-Cups.
Hazelnut, French vanilla, French roast, dark, light, medium, bold, extra bold.
And decaf.
Why would you say that? Why would you say that? Why would you say that?
No reason.
Free shipping for awards members every day. Staples, make more happen.
Play-Doh Compound can help kids practice communication skills. Start by presenting the visual of the letter or word. Then ask them to mold the Play-Doh compound into the shape of the letters. It's an effective way to foster speech and even writing.
It's the Full Melt Radio Show.
Watching through my fingers, watching through my fingers, shuts my eyes and count to 10.
All right, before we went to the break, we were talking about this craziness happening in small-town America. This could be any town in any state that's considering or that has passed maybe a medical marijuana law, or even in a city that's decided that they want to go against state law and create their own ordinance and enforce it locally because they've got the ability to do that. They have the control over their local government at the local level, which is the way that government was supposed to be made and organized in this country. And how the prosecutor was recently fired in the election last night in what's considered the primary election, but other functions at that same election happen outside of the primary, where the prosecutor was fired. And this is an incumbent prosecutor. This is nearly unheard of in this state. These incumbent legislators or politicians, in this case would be, have a tremendous advantage over their opponents in these elections because, number one, they're already organized. They already got elected once. They have a political organization. You know, they got money to work with. They have a nonprofit that they're collecting money under. They've been working this all year long. They saw the upcoming election. They've got a tremendous advantage by name recognition and every other facet over their opponents. So it's nearly unheard of, unless you've done something really wrong or unless you are really disfavored by the local government that hires you, the people, the populace that shows up at the voting polls and fills out the bubble next to your name. You have to really piss them off to get that system to work differently, to get the river water to flow the other way. And so I wanted to bring Chad Morrow on, who is one of these dispensary owner-operators in the area, and again, we'll leave that aside for now, who stepped forward as a medical marijuana activist and you know, really challenged the people who pushed back about their local laws. And so welcome to the program, Chad. Hello. Can you hear us, Chad? Oops. There you are. Can you hear us? Are you there, Chad? Hello, Chad. I don't think Chad can hear us.
We got a live one.
Oh, boy. Well, let me, Chad, can you hear us? Hello, Chad. Hello, Chad.
No.
You cannot hear us.
No, I can't hear you.
Okay, you cannot. Okay, hang on. Let's try this.
Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me? Okay, he cannot hear us, apparently. Oh, that's bad.
Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear us? You cannot hear us?
I can't really hear you.
All right. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to redial you from another number, and we'll try this a different way. So I'm going to disconnect this line, Chad. That's okay. I'm going to call you back. I'm going to try calling Chad back. Hang on a second. Can you push that button to release that call? The off button. The opposite of the on button. Remember, there's two buttons next to each other. One's on, and then it's off. No, I don't think you get the right button. Are you there?
I could have sworn.
Hang on, maybe you did. Yeah, you did. Okay, so let's try it. Let's try this a different way. I don't know why Chad couldn't hear us. Sometimes these things happen with live radio. We just roll with those punches. So we're going to plug Chad into a different phone outlet and see if we can't get him this way. So far, we can hear what?
Hello.
There you go. Chad, can you hear us now?
Yeah, I can hear you this time.
All right. So
All right.
I had just given an introduction. I'm sorry. I thought you could hear us.
Well, I was listening on another friend of mine has the phone, but I couldn't hear you on this phone.
I apologize. So I had just given an introduction which kind of set up the situation as to present. And so I left people before I introduced you, and then you weren't there because you couldn't hear us, with the understanding that the prosecutor who's been fighting against the will of the local people and really working on behalf of the state and the attorney general here. I mean, lest you forget that you are hired by your local constituents there within your county. They're the ones who elect you. And he felt the sting of that truth last night, didn't he, Mr. Mike Rolla, in this election that was yesterday?
Absolutely. I don't even think he just felt it all last night. I think he's continued to feel it all day today because, I mean, social media has been talking about this all day long, and they've put it. I've seen multiple posts where his phone number to his office was posted, and a lot of people were saying, call and congratulate him on a loss and explain maybe if you listen to the will of the people, you'd still have a job. So he's been hearing about it all day today.
Well, and, I suppose, rightfully so, right? I mean, I compared this when I saw this going on. I actually went and started to create a meme. And for those of you who are Game of Thrones friendly, I compared this to the Walk of Shame done by the princess there, where she had to walk naked from the place they were holding her captive all the way home because she wouldn't confess to the religious rites.
Uh-huh.
And that's kind of what Mike Rolla is doing now, isn't he? Isn't he doing the naked walk of shame these remaining months in office, given the fact that he's been fired by the people that originally elected him because he wouldn't do their bidding?
Oh, absolutely. And, I mean, it's really apparent, too, in what's been going on up here. I mean, when he ran in 2012 and he beat Brennan Curran, he won by less than 100 votes. And then this time around, he lost by 122 votes. So, you really got a swing of about 250, 300 votes between the two elections. And personally, when this happened all originally with the Al Witt case a year ago, when we started going around and doing the actual city ordinances and getting people to sign that for the petition for our city ordinance allowing dispensaries, we ran into a lot of people then that weren't registered to vote, and we started getting people registered to vote then so they could sign these petitions.
Right.
And then when it happened the second time around, after everything was put through and the zoning ordinance was approved and we were rated, and then my case came through, we already had a lot of people registered to vote that weren't previously, but then a lot more came out, and even more so registered to vote specifically just to go vote in this election. So, I mean, I can attest personally to account for over probably, I'd say, somewhere between 40 to 50 people that had never been registered to vote prior to all this happening that we've got registered to vote. And I know another, I would say, conservatively speaking, 25 or 30 people that go out and vote in the primary or the general elections, but never would go out in these local primary elections, and they've totally changed their opinion as far as how important these small local elections are in towns. So, I mean, it really was the medical, marijuana community, I think, that really changed, came out, spoke. I heard a few people from the polling locations that were working there saying that they were really surprised at how many young people were showing up to vote, which just the consensus on average would be that they were showing up because of all this.
Young voters traditionally don't show up, Chad, at the election sites on the primary election. They just show.
Absolutely.
You're lucky to get them to turn out at the presidential election because they're so disenfranchised. They're so out of touch with their government.
Yeah, and that's created a lot of talk up here, too. I mean, we've got to talk about that. We were just talking the other day, a person up here that's, about 15 years older than me and another guy that's 22 years old, and we were talking about, his age group, the millennials, and how a lot of them, just what you said, are disenfranchised. They don't care about something, and this was something locally that they actually realized that we're a small enough town, there is enough of us that are paying attention here that we might be able to make a change, and they actually got out, did what they needed to do, and we got that change. And it's really inspiring. It's not just this election either. I mean, we've done other things in this community. Last year we had a skate park, for instance, that was the property was sold, and the guy that bought the property didn't want the community skate park there anymore. So the park was going to be auctioned off to the highest bidder. 3 communities came in here and bid on the skate park, and we got a group of the young guys together, didn't want to see it to go, went to the city council and said, hey, we don't have any money, but we'll tear it down, we'll store it for the entire winter, we'll put it back together at a new location, all on our own dime. Just let us keep it. And the city turned away bids of, 5 figures to keep it here for the community, and now they're actually building it today as we speak. They have a big inaugural build today for it. So, and the funny thing is, guess where that was stored at all winter long? It was stored at, one of the dispensaries affiliated locations, So here we're doing good for the community. Well, the guy that fought against us And he had a rough day that day too. I mean, we've talked previously. I can talk a little more about it now because it's been done. But Mike Rolla issued a warrant for my Facebook a while ago. And when he did that, he got private messages and things that he shouldn't have got between me and my legal counsel and stuff like that. And Tuesday morning, we actually had a hearing on that where we won, and everything from that was suppressed in court and squashed. All that evidence was squashed. So here that morning, Mike Rolla lost in a hearing to me, and then that night he lost the election. So I kind of feel like I was a black cloud hanging over his head all day.
When it rains, it pours. But you know what? What you've described there, Chad, is a situation where, it's been said that necessity is the mother of invention. And what the local government did, or what at least the state government did in the situation there in Gaylord, was say, look, we're going to provide a necessity for you guys to get up and do something and effectively make a change. It was the obstinance. It was the fact that the state government didn't like this that actually motivated people to jam it back in their face and say, you know what? We don't care that you don't like it. We're in charge of our own local government. Read them and weep.
Yeah, and you're hitting the nail right on the head, Steve, because we had another election here in Crawford County, which is the county next to us south, where Grayling that is.
Right.
And the prosecutor there, he lost it. The incumbent there lost as well. Now, vice versa of a story, though. This is an incumbent prosecutor there in Grayling that refused to go after and super prosecute medical marijuana patients and stuff like that.
Oh, so it was the reverse. It was the reverse blade there.
It was the exact opposite, and the state police actually tried instigating investigation and charges on him, which the attorney general denied to pursue charges. It was a total smear campaign on the guy, which worked, and they outed him. Well, the first thing, once it came out that he lost, he messaged me on my Facebook that anybody can go on there and see because it's public. And he said, Chad, safe access, period. And he says, we need to concentrate our resources on things that matter. I was sick and tired of being told to do things that were wrong. This prosecution on marijuana dispensaries is nothing but over financial gain, not over justice. I'm out.
Yeah.
That's coming from a prosecutor. After he's no longer the prosecutor after the last 4 years, he can come out and tell us the truth. And it just goes to show this is not at all about marijuana being dangerous to anybody. It's not about patients having too much or transferring to too many people. It's just about financial gain, civil asset forfeiture, coming in and robbing the patients and the dispensaries and the caregivers, and what we've been seeing for 8 years. Ever since this law took effect.
Right. Right. No, there's so much corruption and there's so much power play by the police in this state. It's actually maddening. It's sickening. It will make you blow chunks. If you get to see what's underneath that pretty looking skirt, how dirty and nasty it is under there, you'd never want to peek again. That's all I got to say about that.
Absolutely.
And I suppose from a broader standpoint, I'll give you a quick example. I was telling. And I don't know if you can hear Mad Blaster or not because with the way we got you hooked up on the phone as a secondary way of hooking a backup. But I was telling him earlier, anecdotally, that I have a story to tell because it's funny, because it's ridiculous. And I'll just kind of tie it in here if we got time before the break. I'll give you a quick glimpse as to how corrupt this system really is. So I know somebody that had their car towed by the police from a private parking lot. Now, the police don't have the permission to tow a car from a private parking lot, nor a reason. And so, long story short, I was complaining that the police had done this tow illegally and caused this person to have to go searching for a way to pay for this car. They happen to be living in it. In any event, I complained to the police about it, and they were like, no, it's our policy to tow cars subject to arrest. Doesn't matter where it's at, da-da-da-da-da, even though they had asked the establishment, this private establishment, permission to tow the car, which they didn't have the authority to do under the law without paying for it themselves. So I was calling to complain to the Attorney General's office about the police and the way that they're kind of really disobeying the law and kind of strong-arming their way around it. This happened to be taking place in Mount Pleasant, Michigan, by the way. And I was advocating for a friend who doesn't know how to make these battles. But the long and the short of it was the Attorney General's office response, and I got through to a specialist on the phone who wanted to talk about this, was, look, we don't, we'll take your other complaint about the police, but when it comes to making a complaint about an illegal tow, then that's a complaint that needs to be made with the state police. They're the ones equipped to do that investigation and make that complaint. I said, the complaint is against the Mount Pleasant police. He goes, I understand. That's where you got to go. That's the system. And so I called the state police there in that area and made that complaint. And the guy on charge, he's like, first off, there's nobody on duty to take the complaint. Not until after 5 o'clock up there. And then the second thing was, he said, but, he says, this is against the city. This is against the city police. And I said, yeah. He goes, we won't take a complaint by citizens against another police agency. And I said, okay, so I'm just telling you that the Attorney General is the one that asked me to make this complaint to you because you're the ones that are supposed to do it. The AG's office, your boss, sent me to you to make the complaint. You're telling me you're not going to take it? Nope, they're going to have to call us directly and ask us directly to take that complaint. Otherwise, I won't do it. So I called back up the AG's office to ask them to make that phone call. Do you think they were willing to do that?
Absolutely not.
That's what I'm saying. They're like, well, you know what, Mr. Green, instead of just having us call them and you make the complaint with them, why don't you just put it all in writing and send it to us? And in a couple of months, when we get a chance to respond, we'll tell you what we think about your complaint. Maybe you'll go away by then. That's the read between the lines on that one. It's not gonna happen. That complaint is gonna land on a desk. But yeah, that whole business. But it just shows you that, they don't even want to work with their own system. And when the subordinate of the person of the agency in charge that says you got to take a report won't take it, their boss won't make them do it. It's all the police working hand in hand. Oh, you don't want to do it? That's okay. You don't have to do that. You know what? Just send it in writing to us. Anyways, Chad Morrow, thank you for coming on the program and explaining all this. Before we're getting ready to go to break, you got anything real quick before we run off to break? Anything you wanted to tell people, remind them of?
Yeah, I mean, just in the future, I mean, anybody that runs into these kind of issues, don't run and talk and say anything. To stay quiet and try to do exactly what I did. And just do opposite of what the norm is, and say enough is enough, because the people at this point in time, the polls show it. The people here in Gaylord just showed it. They're behind medical marijuana, and stay active. I mean, one thing is in these debates and stuff with the prosecutors, I showed up. I was there, and even though I was getting some dirty looks, I submitted questions. And I kept everything going, and I didn't start it. Like I said, it wasn't me. This, Al Witt started this up here.
Gotcha.
I continued it, and the people came together, and everybody united together. So that's what did it.
Chad Morrow, thanks again for coming on the program. We appreciate your presence and your fight against the man. We'll talk to you soon, and we'll be right back after this break.
You're getting the full melt.
If you missed the last Full Melt show,
you missed a lot.
All right, so there's this idiot reporter out in Grand Rapids today. I saw her on a promo for some show she's doing about kids and drugs, and she's interviewing a policewoman and a prosecutor. Check this out.
These things sound like something that drug addicts would use. Are regular teenagers using butane?
Absolutely.
When you are out there, you're seeing kids are you seeing it younger and younger? Are you seeing it used in homes more frequently? What's actually happening?
Okay, that's a stupid question, you old bat. Can you come up with an original reporter's question? One that somebody can actually answer?
Is it addictive? Is it something that's going to get a kid in trouble? Can people manage their use?
Well, I mean, I think that's one of the biggest myths.
Again, I just have to take issue with this. Wood TV in Grand Rapids, this lady needs to study up before she sticks a microphone in an official's face and asks an idiot question. Attention. Get ready to write down a very important number.
Michael does not know how to fail. Second place is loser.
If you have a medical marijuana case and need legal representation, call the best, Attorney Michael Comorn.
He's very passionate in the courtroom.
Getting the best outcome requires quick legal action, and it needs to start with one call, toll-free to Attorney Michael Comorn. 800-656-3557. Write it down, 800-656-3557.
Michael Comorn gave us our life back.
Attorney Michael Comorn. Vigorous criminal defense.
Ram trucks are reaching new heights when it comes to capability and efficiency. The Ram Heavy Duty is the most capable full-size pickup on the road today. And the Ram 1500 is the most fuel-efficient full-size pickup ever. So what does that mean? It means Ram trucks are built for the long haul. Ram, America's longest-lasting pickups.
RootMetrics, in the nation's largest independent study, tested wireless performance across the country. Verizon won big with 153 state wins. AT&T got 38, Sprint got 2, and T-Mobile got 0. Verizon also won first in the U.S. for data, call, speed, and reliability. AT&T got text. Stuck on an average network? Join Verizon, and we'll cover your cost to switch.
Introducing Sacred Elements, a place for natural and alternative healing for the mind, body, and soul. Sacred Elements. It's one place, all solutions.
Registered, licensed, certified, ordained.
Sacred Elements.
Massage, hypnosis, Reiki.
Sacred Elements.
Raindrop, aroma and color therapy, body detox, ministry, life coaching, weight and nutrition counseling.
Sacred Elements. Next to the Sweet Leaf, 400 South Dorr Highway, Flint.
11 to 7 daily, closed Sunday.
Call 810-259-2570.
Play-Doh Compound can help kids practice communication skills. Start by presenting the visual of the letter or word. Then ask them to mold the Play-Doh compound into the shape of the letters. It's an effective way to foster speech and even writing.
Hey, it's Steve Green for the Sweet Leaf in Flint, because now getting safe access to medical cannabis patients in Flint, Michigan is never more welcoming. Presenting the Sweet Leaf, a brand new patient experience, bringing 12 carefully selected caregivers housed in 9 separate offices to distinctly assist you with their knowledge and reputation for excellent patient care. Classes and training coming soon in the large community room. Check it out in person, 400 South Dorr Highway, or call 810-259-2571. The Sweet Leaf Center in Flint, 810-259-2571.
We ask people to tell us something that happened in their past and something that might happen in their future. The good things were put on yellow magnets and the bad ones on blue. The results show the past was a pretty even mix of good and bad, yet the future was almost all good things. Now that you've seen the results of this experiment, what does it mean to you?
We all want to think about positive stuff.
Realistically, there will be downtimes.
It's great to think optimistically, but let's plan for whatever the future might bring.
Prudential, bring your challenges.
It's the Full Melt Radio Show.
Radio show.
Late at night I could hear the crying. I hear it all trying to fall asleep.
Are you ready for the election there, Mad?
Yeah, I'm ready. Ready as can be.
I'm going to ask you the question. You know what the question's going to be?
I don't know.
So, did you vote yesterday? Did you go vote?
No, I didn't vote.
Oh, man.
That's why I'm mad blaster by night. Work all day long.
Yeah, but the polls are open until like 8 o'clock, even though we're on the air here from 7 until Whatever. No, whatever is it.
Steve's famous for what is it? Managing expectations.
Well, yeah, you know.
You got to be here on time.
Look, I voted.
Yeah, you were late because of it.
Look, it's the one thing I'll be late for, and be proud of it. I mean, not that I wanted to be that way, but I mean, I wasn't late for the show. I was late for the show prep.
Show prep's important.
It's really important, but we still did a great, fantastic show yesterday, and I still voted. That's what I'm saying.
I wouldn't call it fantastic. It was nice. It was nice.
No, it was a great show. We had 2 guests on. We did a great show.
We had a caller. That was. I had fun with that. I thought that was nice, even though we couldn't hear us.
Had a fun caller. It was.
We feel love, man.
Just saying, it was a great show yesterday. It wasn't inhibited by the fact that I voted.
Gotcha.
And that's all I'm saying, you know. And really, I'm pointing back to this whole idea, and that Chad underscores as well, is that it's really important to go speak your mind, because it's just okay. Much like I do the dog training, right? Yeah. If you got a dog and you don't describe for the dog what the plan for the dog is, the dog by default will describe his own plan. And that's kind of what's going on with you and the government if you don't go vote, because you're letting the government describe the plan, and you can bitch all day long, but I'm just saying in the long run, there's no real right to bitch because you never went and had your say about it. And if other people like you that were like-minded like you that also didn't go vote went and voted, things would be different and there wouldn't be a complaint.
And that's rough, man, because people my age, you're right, they do have a hard time getting franchised into politics and whatnot, and it's really a bummer because only since the time that I've been on the show, I've realized how much people my age and maybe people who are invested into that branch of the marijuana, we don't sit around a table and talk politics. It just doesn't happen. It's really kind of glaring you in the face at this point when coming so close to medical marijuana legalization that maybe if we were just get that one more population to actually sit down and discuss what medical marijuana legalization will do for them. And
I'm just saying if you're in danger at any point or time in your life for any period of time of going to jail for the possession and or use of cannabis, and you don't go vote and be mindful of the people in power who either agree or disagree with you on this point, you're always going to, instead of having that political conversation and being mindful and going and voting, instead be exposed to ending up in jail and being ground through the legal system because you didn't go say this is not a criminal issue but a social health policy issue.
Yeah.
And so I want to encourage people like that to get involved, to vote, to not be so lackadaisical about who's in control of the way your life is going to go.
And see, I've only been seeing that more and more since I've been on the show, and I've been trying to inform my buddies and inform people like me, people of my age group, people maybe of the same awareness of the medical marijuana laws because,
well, it's great that you're reaching out to those other people, but I mean, by way of extension, you should be doing this by way of example. Look, I went and I voted, and I
understand.
I said what I was due. I had my say because it's really hollow coming from somebody who also didn't go vote.
Half-ass didn't even know it was election day till I got on the show. Let's be real. I'm being honest with you.
Hey, at least you're not, say, oh no, I knew and I just didn't have time.
I'm gonna be real with you. I told you that most of my information comes from actually being a part of this show, and I think that it's actually affecting me. Oh, we got a caller. What's this? What's going on?
Yeah, we do have a caller. Let's see if we got somebody on the program that wants to chime in.
We got
on
a live one.
Got a live one. Hello, you're on the air. Hello.
Hello, hey, I'm the weed warrior here. I want to send a big congratulations out to Mr. Morrow there.
Okay. Well, that's we've been doing that, celebrating that that win, that prosecutorial win so far. I mean, here's the only way it isn't a win: that you got rid of that guy and instead elected some guy who's worse.
Is that the truth? But I was watching Chad Morrow and what he was going through. But he did the best thing in the world by organizing voters and making the people aware. Maybe the other guy is worse, I don't know, but it put a message to that first guy to know that we weren't messing around,
Right. No, absolutely. I think you're absolutely right. If you don't, look, here's another truth that I did not have time. We were up against the clock there. I didn't have time before the break hit to get in this idea. It struck me in the head, but I just didn't have time to squeeze it out. So I'll take the opportunity now to point to the idea that 95% of the people who are in prison today are there so at their own hand. They're not there because some jury or trier of fact convicted them of a crime and put them in prison. They are there because they did the work of the prosecutor for them by pleading guilty to a lesser charge under the threat of a greater one. Right. That's the truth and reality of what's going on in our criminal justice system today. And I'm underscoring your point that fighting back is important because unless you fight back, unless you actually adhere to your rights, unless you actually ignore the threats from the prosecutor about additional charges or about additional terms under those charges, because you're not cooperating, because you're not, caving in and just doing their bidding and pleading guilty so they don't have to do their damn jobs. When?
I mean,
I want to cry already.
Hey, at least this was a great move, and I hope people statewide take notice of their prosecutors and just hold their feet to the fire, We came too far, too long to turn back for a bunch of, racist, bunch of backward-minding people that hate pot from 1930.
Look, what the truth of the matter is, they don't hate pot. The truth of the matter is, a lot of these guys aren't racist. The truth of the matter is, they use these arguments as an excuse so they can keep stealing from ordinary citizens who are doing no public harm.
Agreed. Agreed.
I mean, don't you think there's a little bit still there from the Reefer Madness era?
A lot of it there. I mean, you wouldn't believe how bad some of these people are, and it's a sad fact about our educational system that they continue to believe this garbage, even though it's been proven time and time again that they're wrong.
Well, you know, the devil's advocate position on this has always been disingenuous. Look, I'm always up for a good argument. I'm always up to hear both sides of a situation, but only if both sides are coming with genuine intent. If one side is hiding behind the dress of some other garb and pretending to be something that they're not, you can't have this argument, expect to have anything positive come from it, because one of the sides in its entirety is being disingenuous in their position. They really want a cheap excuse to hide and steal from you.
Exactly. And it's people, like you say, in certain industries like the alcohol industry and the big drug industry, and maybe even other growers that are pushing crappy ordinances to keep others out the market.
Right. It's happening.
It's happening. A lot of the raids, I would say a third of them are from other owners trying to shut other people down, and that shit's got to cut. Excuse me, but that's got to go.
No, I agree with you. I think it's a crappy way. It's a crappy way to play into the hand of the police, and you might be, subject to your own befuddling, because somebody, one of your friends, one of your competitors, might just turn you in the same way. I mean, what does that say about you as a businessman? That you can't compete?
That's rough, man. Having fellow people.
And another thing, I'll say in the city of Detroit here, they pulled this scam about medibles. And Wayne County Prosecutor has explicitly said, I am not going to be bothered busting people for medicated grits and eggs and butter and all that other stuff,
All right, Weed Warrior, we are up against the clock once again. We are at break time. Thank you for calling and chipping in.
Thanks for calling, man.
And celebrating the victory made by the voters in Otsego County in Michigan on the front against marijuana prohibition, specifically medical marijuana. We're not even talking about regular old retail weed. We're talking about people who need it medically. Drives me insane. We'll be back with more next. Hang on.
You're getting the full melt.
Promotional consideration provided by NoSmell.com, pioneering the storage market for cannabis users. The NoSmell patented bag technology offers users 100% smell-proof detection from even the most sophisticated of noses. NoSmell.com, so nobody knows. When placing your order for a NoSmell bag, make sure to use discount code FULLMELT and take 10% off the entire order. Learn more about NoSmell technology at NoSmell.com. If you missed the last Full Melt show,
you missed a lot.
The 2016 law also allows the dispensing organizations to grow full-strength pot, which will be available to terminally ill patients, right? We were just talking about
the ones on hospice, yes. So in Florida, I have to be on my deathbed to get some regular, what I would consider regular THC marijuana.
The stuff that you can go to Flint or Lansing or Ann Arbor or
down
Detroit
the street to
and
Walled
get.
Lake.
Tune into the Full Melt Show, Monday through Friday from 7 until 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on thefullmelt.com.
Full Melt.
When you need legal help, you don't want to guess at who's standing next to you in court. And when it comes to a medical marijuana defense, it's even smarter to partner with a lawyer before you need one. Based in Royal Oak, David Rudoy has a proven history of not being afraid to take your case all the way to the Supreme Court and win. Find the law offices of Rudoy Law
at RudoyLaw.com.
RudoyLaw.com is a quick reference on your rights concerning Michigan medical marijuana
and up-to-date news.
That's RUDOI Law.com. Call 248-935-9074 now and talk about your legal needs, because at RudoyLaw.com, we don't just stand up for you, we stand up with you. Hey, it's Steve Green for the Sweet Leaf in Flint, because now getting safe access to medical cannabis patients in Flint, Michigan is never more welcoming. Presenting the Sweet Leaf, a brand new patient experience, bringing 12 carefully selected caregivers housed in 9 separate offices to distinctly assist you with their knowledge and reputation for excellent patient care. Classes and training coming soon in the large community room. Check it out in person, 400 South Door Highway, or call 810-259-2571. The Sweet Leaf Center in Flint, 810-259-2571.
Young students are our future. They're eager to learn, eager to succeed,
eager to make the world a better place. And they want to make it to school safely. Share the road, take care when passing, and always leave 3 feet between you and people on bikes. Bikes are legal road vehicles. We're all drivers.
It's the Full Melt radio show. Man, the show always flies by, Mad. I mean, it flies by. Well, you want it's only an hour every day. 7 until 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The Full Melt shows when you can hear the program. We'll try to bring you guests and celebrities in the marijuana and hemp communities. We do hemp reports. Oh, you know what we got to do? We got to do that Butters update. We have to do a Butters update on Friday. So if you hear that, Joe, we're expecting a horny
goat update.
A horny Butters update.
Hopefully it doesn't extend in half an hour after the
show. More I hear about Butters, see, Butters was all cute and cuddly when he was little. The goat. Butters the goat.
Isn't that how we all start out?
Yeah, but then he grew up and grew horns and likes to butt everybody. And you really got to watch out because Butters will injure you if you're not careful. And not only that, he's a goat in the rut. So he's spreading his spunk everywhere. Reports have it. We'll get a Butters update and play the stupid Dueling Banjos theme behind it just because that's funny. Now, I wanted to play for this. This is from a PBS station, and I wanted to play this because it speaks right to the heart of what we're talking about today, which is the upcoming elections. And there's a lot of material. This is about a 6-minute interview, but there's a lot of material in this from a guest in Florida that talks about what's going on the ground, and Michigan's mentioned. Check it out right here.
There are just over 3 months to go until Election Day, and we've been talking a lot about the presidential race, but there are many other people and issues on the ballot this fall, too, including the legalization of marijuana. At least 5 states will vote on legalizing it for recreational use, and 3 others will vote on making it legal for medical use. Ryan Nurs is chief cannabis correspondent for Fusion and author of Marijuana America, One Man's Quest to Understand America's Dysfunctional Love Affair with Weed. He joins us from Miami. Ryan, let's go through these states that are voting on legalizing marijuana, starting with the biggest state in the country by population, California.
Yeah, I mean, California, this is a pretty big watershed moment for California and maybe the world. I mean, it could become the biggest marijuana market on the planet. And, people forget that California is really the state that started this whole, legalization trend in the states in 1996 with medical marijuana. The only thing is they have tried this before. They had Prop 19 in 2010, and it was, sponsored by big names like George Soros, and it actually lost. But that was a midterm election. I think in a presidential year, you get minorities, you get college students, and I think that'll push it over the edge.
We're also looking at Massachusetts and Maine and Arizona. What other states have this issue on the ballot?
Massachusetts is interesting. They've had a very robust marijuana community for a long time, and there's never really been a northeastern state to have legal recreational weed. As you can see, if there's a map, it's all the Northwest right now, right? So that could be interesting. Maine is also vying for that spot as well. They've had medical marijuana for a while, a very sort of well-known and well-executed medical marijuana market. So I actually would expect that Maine will go. Massachusetts is a little more dicey.
And there are some other states that it's not yet on the ballot but could be by Election Day.
Yeah, that's right. So this is the time of year where people think, you can discuss this as if it's really concrete. It's not. Welcome to the world of weed legalization. It's very murky. So right now, for example, in Michigan has a huge medical marijuana community, but they have this battle going on. So they turned in 100,000 more signatures than they needed. The state has come back and said, all of these signatures are way too old, so now they're being sued. And that's the type of thing that happens. It's not until about 2 months before that November 8th date that you really start to see which states are really on the ballot, are really a possibility, and that's when the attack ads start, which is already started here in Florida.
So behind all of these ballot measures for legalization of marijuana, is there one national group that is pushing all of these and is advertising in favor of legalization of marijuana, or are these really at the state level?
There almost all at the state level. And so the pro-marijuana campaigns at the state level then end up battling the sort of, anti-marijuana campaigns. And I've found from my research that the pro-marijuana campaigns now are absolutely decimating the anti-marijuana campaigns across the board in almost every state, something like 3-1. However, in Florida, there is Drug-Free Florida, and it mounted a huge opposition to the proposed amendment in 2014, backed by almost $6 million from Sheldon Adelson.
From Sheldon Adelson, who finances a lot of Republican campaigns year after year. What about the consequences of this? Let's say that the pro-marijuana side wins in a number of these states, including California. What are the concerns about that? Because we saw the former California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger calling this a flawed initiative that would bring about a host of legal nightmares and risks to public safety. We've certainly heard on this program about fears that if somebody's driving under the influence of marijuana, it's very difficult to figure out if they had just used it or if they had used it a while back, given the testing that's available right now. But what are people worried about if they do pass?
One is, like you just said, driving. Is it going to affect the, driving accidents in that state? Child and teen use, is that going to skyrocket because of, more access and more perceived sort of lack of harm around marijuana? And crime, right? I mean, is it going to, there's the pro-marijuana groups say that crime is going to go down, that there's going to be less stress on these police forces, while the truth shows in places like Denver and Seattle that there's also a level of you have these dispensaries that have huge amounts of marijuana. They have cash because they can't always use banks, and so robberies become an issue. And the answer to all those questions is we don't really know yet. I mean, basically, everyone's waiting for Denver is this sort of sample territory. It's the sort of Amsterdam of America. And everyone's waiting for these statistics to really sort of feel finite, and they really haven't yet.
So do you think that if these measures pass, and especially if the largest state, California, legalizes recreational marijuana, that there's going to be a federal initiative soon?
I mean, that's the real big burning question around the sort of pro-marijuana legalization campfire, right? Is when are the feds going to step up and see that there's a tipping point? There's 25 states at this point with medical marijuana. There's 4 states plus Washington, D.C. with totally recreational legalization. And now there's been some talk that they are going to potentially reschedule cannabis from a Schedule 1 to a Schedule 2 and maybe even deschedule it, which is a little less likely. And I don't know. They've been throwing that around. The feds have sort of thrown that around and said that they were going to do it by June and then July, and then they've pushed it back. I think that that's something that probably President Obama and his staff is a little reluctant to do before he leaves office, but who knows? He might just, drop the mic on the way out and change it to a Schedule 2 drug, which would cause a restructuring of the laws against marijuana across the nation.
That's Ryan Nurse, who's chief cannabis correspondent for Fusion and author of Marijuana America, One Man's Quest to Understand America's Dysfunctional Love Affair with Weed. Ryan, will be watching as all these ballot initiatives go forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jeremy. Have a good one.
And we will be watching. We will be watching greatly with bated breath. And I assume that we'll be keeping close tabs on what's happening here in Michigan. I'll tell you what, on this program, on Election Day, we will be having extended coverage of Election Night for the issue of marijuana legalization and medical marijuana initiatives all across the country. It's going to be a fascinating evening. We hope you'll join us then. Quick question, Mad Blaster.
Yes.
Are you going to vote in the upcoming election in the regular?
Yep, I promise.
The general election.
I promise if I show up and it's not the show, this isn't the first I'm hearing of it, I'll probably make time to go there.
So how you leaning? Are you leaning more Hillary, or are you leaning more Trumpy?
I mean, I don't like Trump, but I'm not going to vote for Hillary. I don't.
Well,
that's
if you
where I'm at with it.
Well, if you don't vote for Hillary, it's kind of a pseudo vote for Trump.
Third party, whatever.
No, he's not third party. He's the head of the Republican Party.
I'll go third party.
I see.
My vote went somewhere.
Why don't you write in Bernie? Write in Field the Burn. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to cross out both of those boxes and write Field the Burn in and fill the circle next to that. You know who won? Feel the Burn won the election. That's who's going to win. All right, until we have more time to run you more fascinating marijuana news and entertainment, I'm Steve Green.
And I'm Mad.
We'll see you tomorrow on The Full Melt Show.
The Full Melt Show is a production of TFM Media.